is raining behind us. Rain is in the forecast today. We don't know how bad it's going to be, how long it's going to be, how it will affect the racing surfaces. But alongside Rick Lee, track handicapper, I'm Jim Byers. Thanks for joining us. We're going to analyze today's races. And Rick, good to be back alongside you handicapping. And unfortunately, the weather today is a bit questionable, but we got 9 wagering opportunities. We had a good opening night last night, and this very first race is scheduled for the turf. Non-winners of 3 filly and mare claimers. We're going to handicap it like it's on the turf because we've gotten some light rain. Hear a rumble or two of thunder, but nothing overly serious just yet. There's a scratch out of the first race, number 10, G's A Little Crazy, that just came in, so any early wagers on her are exchangeable or refundable. So let's go over our picks, maybe with a little bit of an eye toward wet track form if it does come to pass.
Yeah, I think the 8 Bella Bell is slight favoritism in here for me. Not a confident selection by any means, but there's a couple things that you certainly can hang your hat on. First of all, this 7-year-old mare has been racing on turf at Fairgrounds. By far the best turf racing in the region. Horse finished second twice at Fairgrounds. Those are huge credentials here. Has good speed. Lone Star's course favors speed a little bit more significantly than the course at Fairgrounds. Also moving from Greg Foley, a trainer who wins a lot of races, to trainer Steve Asmussen, so plenty to like there. I like the 3-horse second, I Just Want to Have Fun, who was a winner in a non-winners of 2 for 25, just 2 races back at Houston, is finishing really well. Last time out, this mare took on males and ran an even race, going a mile and an eighth, now cutting back to a more reasonable distance. Broberg seems like he always starts this meet hot, and I think that's a major factor, that 5-year-old mare. And then I went with the 2, Clay's Moonstone, who's been really good on turf or dirt. Cleared or was competitive in non-winners of 2 for 25,000. The last couple races were on the main track, but they are also against allowance rivals. So this 4-year-old filly, to me, is dangerous.
Yeah, I think so too. We go a little bit differently here in the first race. I'm going with the 3, I Just Want to Have Fun. Took on males last time in the Broberg barn. Against fillies 2 outs back at Houston at a better distance of 1 mile, closer to today's distance than the 9 furlongs she ran last time. She was a winner in a non-winners of 2 claimer, so steps up a notch into the non-winners of 3 today. By no means any kind of a cinch, but my issue with Bella Bell is she just isn't much of a finisher, regardless of where she runs. Obviously, you have to give huge respect, as we always do, to those lines at the fairgrounds. And, this mare has been running in some really nice circuits. And she is new to Steve Asmussen, as you mentioned, so we'll see what he can do with her. Just doesn't seem to win a whole lot, but she might have this field over a barrel. So I took her second. I'm going to go 3, 9, 2 in this race. And Rick went 9, 3, 2. So pretty similar, just different picks on top. And hopefully the weather will hold out to at least get that first race on the sod. Second race, 6 furlongs. These are Texas-bred fillies and mares, non-winners of 3.
Yeah, and the 2 impressive rewards. Certainly been running against much better. Comes out of 2 consecutive stake races down at Houston on turf. But if you look at the previous races last year, was a winner, an allowance winner in state bred competition. So this 4-year-old filly looks very versatile. And on April 10th here at Lone Star Park, worked a really strong 47-1. So to me, 1 for 1 on the main track here. Really good recent work and dropping out of stakes competition. That, to me, makes her the slight favorite in here. She Sparkles started her career as a 2-year-old here like she was going to be a top-notch Texas bred. She wins her maiden first time out by 10, comes back in the Texas Breeders, wins by 5. Took some time off, came back in their first start last year in the Bar Lass and finished second. And now it seems like comes back now as a 4-year-old, doesn't quite seem to be quite as good. But then again, those races this year have been at Houston. Seems to really love the surface here at Lone Star Park. So I think the horse for course, She Sparkles, can certainly win this race. And then I went with the 3-year-old Great Affection, coming off a couple lackluster races at Houston. That's what you don't like, but what you do like is last year at Lone Star, first 2 starts were both wins. One was a stake score. So this 3-year-old, another one who, if you can excuse the races at Houston, perhaps she's a horse for course.
And, she's kind of the 3-year-old version of G.C. Sparkles.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, it was G.C. Sparkles that came right out of the chute as a strong 2-year-old. Great affection last year. All due respect to Impressive Reward, who could very easily win this race. It was not easy for me to pick against her. My only issue with her was that I'm not sure she's a sprinter, but she does seem to like an off track, and there's a lot of things about her that you like. But I still went with G.C. Sparkles. I like the tactics that she might be able to employ today, just kind of chasing the pace a little bit, gets back into a more reasonable level of competition. In fact, the 2, the 7, and the 4 are all getting into a level where they should really hit hard. So I went ahead and gave G.C. Sparkles the nod. Again, it's kind of a coin flip for me. I went 7-2-8. I would not totally overlook Lady Ave either. No particular notability on an off track. She's caught a good track a couple times, but she's run well on this surface before. And Great Affection, obviously, is right there as well. I used her as a 4th pick, and Rick once again went 2-7-4 in that.
Yeah, Lady A was claimed last out by Gustafson, and we didn't know much about him until last year. He had a big meet at Houston, Lone Star Park, and he's one of those up-and-coming trainers. We're going to talk a lot about him as the meet progresses, I believe.
Yeah, we didn't know a lot about him before, but we certainly know more about him now. And it is, by the way, for those of you joining us off-site, as you can see, it's a bit dark back there, and it is raining really hard. 3rd race. This is a tough one. Texas-bred maiden claimers, 5.5 furlongs.
Yeah, once again, I'm on a horse, with some back class. That's the 4 Policy Limit. I know it's a maiden claimer, so sometimes you can scoff at back class, but finished 3rd in her his career debut last year at Lone Star Park in a special weight. Went into a $75,000 restricted stake, finished 2nd. Since then, has not done a lot except the last race. They finally dropped him into a level similar to this, finished 3rd. Horses coming out of that maiden race have all been running numbers a little bit better than they earned in that race. So I feel like that race maybe was better than it appears on paper. And again, just the fact this horse has raced well here at Lone Star Park, I'm going to give that one the edge. The 6, Giro Dinero, is my next pick. Shows good early speed, probably the speed of the speed in this race. Last time out, did compete at Houston in open company. That was an open 62,500. Now drops into 20 in a Texas-bred race. So I just feel like Giro Dinero is the speed of the speed. And then let's go to Bernardian, the number 1 horse. I don't know, it's just loud. I feel like I'm yelling, but
I don't know if you can hear us. And I hope the roof doesn't leak. This is a brand new set. We might as well wait a minute here. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you can hear me out there, Bernardian is my 3rd selection for trainer Carl Broberg. Things to like, certainly shipping in from New Orleans, dropping into state-bred competition, and moving into the barn of Carl Broberg. So those are all positives for the 1.
I don't think we're going to be on the turf today. That's just a guess.
Yeah.
We don't know that for sure. This race was really tough for me. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities here to maybe go for a price or not. I mean, Policy Limit has a lot. Oh boy, the wonderful sound of a cessation momentarily of the rain. Policy Limit has a lot of credentials. I just didn't like the way he finished in his last race. I mean, he ran a respectable race, but oh boy, he didn't look too good finishing. But nonetheless, I went with Bernardian, but again, I mean, it's kind of a coin flip. And, you could jumble these up and blend them up and come up with the picks different ways. I like the fact that Bernardian has a little touch of speed, might be able to get out there winging a little bit from the inside. That last race where he bolted, part of the reason he bolted was a horse shied from the rail at the fairgrounds and maybe brushed the rail even and moved out and flung Bernardian and another horse out, and then Bernardian just said, forget it, and he bolted. So little bit of an excuse there, but a little lump in the throat picking a horse that's been beaten by 42 and a half, 21 and a half, and 24 lengths in his last 3 starts. But different situation, different racetrack. So I'm going to go 1, 4, 5. Shine My Blue Moon is going to get my third pick here. I'm not a big one on picking first-time starters, but this might be a race a firster might be able to win. On we go to the 4th. Scratch part of the entry, the Plain 1, Howdy Pilgrim. There are 3 recent maiden winners in this race. If you like that angle or don't like that angle, that's something to consider. 1 mile here.
Yeah, and I think the rain's fixing to dump again. The 2 Life on the Road is my top selection here. The leading money earner in the field. It looks like this horse is a good finisher in a field with, I'd call, a lot of cheap speed is signed on in this race. Drew the inside. We've talked many times about how Oaklawn shippers seem to improve dramatically when they get to Lone Star Park. So not only did he run at Oaklawn, but he's taken a relatively significant drop in claiming price. Looks like I'm on the Asmussen bandwagon, too, at this point. But I just think there's a lot of cheap speed, and this is the best finisher in the race. The 1A, Radiant Kitten, is another one. The top buyer speed figures coming out of the last 2 races. Narrow losses, both of them around 2 turns at Houston. The last race where he got the best number of his career was on a sloppy track, and I got a feeling we'll be looking at a sloppy track then as well. Big drop in price. Wouldn't talk you off Radiant Kitten for sure, a major player. And the 5 Laughing Latinos, a 4.5 length maiden winner, last time out against Louisiana bred maiden claimers. It is Broberg. This colt's never been anywhere but around the bull ring at Delta, which doesn't mean he won't like a 1 mile oval. He may actually prefer 1 mile, but then again, it was a big win last time out. But those bottom level Louisiana breds at Delta, I can't imagine that they're a very tough group.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I used him as a third pick here. I'm with you on Life on the Road. There's just a lot of factors that I think point him out. And, I mean, a logical horse to beat. If you were looking to beat him, maybe the 4 First String, who does show a win on a sloppy or a muddy sealed track, and it was at Hot Springs. Last time out again, beaten 38 1/4 lengths, but, it was a non-winners of 2 at Hot Springs as well. I'm going to give him a chance to improve and maybe run back to some races he had earlier this year and late last year. So First String will be my second pick. And his odds may go down a little if, obviously the track's going to be off. So, and then Laughing Latinos, my third pick, and Radiant Kitten, the 4th pick. So I'm going 2, 4, 5, 1 in that race, and Rick's going 2, 1, 5, 9. On to the 5th. Scheduled for the turf. Again, we're down here kind of out of phone range, not totally out of communication range, but scheduled for the turf. We can touch on the race, touch on our picks, but the likelihood of any of today's races being on the turf isn't great, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, and the 8. Is you pronouncing that Cola, or is there a different pronunciation?
I haven't, Cola is all I can go with.
Okay. I mean, that's my pick, and I thought I'd probably stick with this 4-year-old as my top pick, whether we're on turf or a muddy main track. Horse ran really well at a higher level in turf races at Remington and at Houston. So I like that. The horse was in really good form on off main track races at Houston, running for $25,000. You can see that. Those were good races on sloppy tracks. Went to Will Rogers Downs, was bet down to even money based on the races at Houston and Remington, and just didn't seem to care for that surface. I just think he'll bounce back here, whether it's, again, a good wet track record, a promising turf track record. I think Cola is a potential upsetter on either surface. I went with the 10 Bad Boy as my next selection, just taking a pretty significant drop in class. Solid turf races at Fairgrounds in Houston. And the 3 in here, Oh My Aching Arch, another Broberg horse. Last time out was finished up well in a turf sprint. Previous race was at Fairgrounds, and again, finishing 3rd for $15,000. That was State Bred Company. The buyers, though, to me, look rock solid on that horse as well. So to me, Cola's my best long shot, turf or main track.
So 8, 10, 3 Rick's selections. I'm going with the one Battleship Bevo. Now, admittedly, I handicapped this race thinking it was going to be on the turf, and officially, I don't know about the surface situation, but Battleship Bevo does show a couple of pretty good races on sealed tracks. Now, his most recent one wasn't too good, but prior to that, and I just thought he really ran gamely to a horse that won last night, Uncle Artie, who came back and won again and did it very nicely. I think Battleship Bevo might have another one in him. Puts blinkers on today from the inside. I'm going to take him over Bad Boy. And my third pick in this race, at least as it was originally constructed, was the 11 Varnished for Francisco Bravo. Another blinkers on. Don't know about this guy on the off track, though. I might have to reevaluate that.
Yeah, if you want to get a little Slew Tang Clan, the 7. This is a horse I think you consider if it's an off track. He's raced extremely well. And trainer Kevin Scholl, who another one who we didn't know much about heading into 2020, has turned out he's winning a lot of races. Or I shouldn't say a lot of races. He has a small outfit, but he's winning at a high percentage. I thought that horse on a muddy track, which I'm certain it will be, stands a chance at a price.
Yeah, I kind of overlooked your top pick here, and that might be at my peril because there's a number of horses that have credentials in there, and it's important to keep in mind with if there is surface switches and obviously weather issues that your picks might have to be a little, but that's a good pick to have in that it can go either way, possibly. On to the 6th. Scratch number 4, The Times Right. These are maiden claiming fillies and mares at that bottom level sprinting.
Yeah, and I picked the 4, Tell You Ride Queen. I just didn't want that to be my top pick, and now she is. So here I am. Tell You Ride Queen, though, appears to be the speed of the speed. I mean, I see why people would migrate her direction. She has 2 recent second-place finishes. The buyer figures, none of them really are good, but her numbers are solid. She's lost late lead, so that she will get to the front. What I didn't like is she's had opportunities, and Lane Luzzy, opts for a different horse in the race. I thought that doesn't always have to mean everything, but it's still a little concerning. But anyway, I got Tell You Ride Queen as my top selection. The 7-horse Star in the Sky, in the money twice at Golden Gate. Both starts as a 2-year-old. It's always a little concerning when you start a 2-year-old with a little ability that cheap. I mean, makes me wonder they didn't think she was going to be all that much to begin with. But this is a really soft spot to make her 3-year-old debut. And again, Lane Luzzy was riding the horse that I think will go favored. So stands a good shot in here. And then let's go to Really Lucky. I tend to go for horses owned by Rick Davis, because he has a really good eye. He may have misfired on this one. They paid $35,000, making first start for $7,500. But it's Diodoro, decent workouts, again, good connections, and a race where there doesn't appear to be a lot of talent in here. I mean, this type of race generally is tailor-made for a first-time starter.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I did go with Star in the Sky as a top pick. But again, I could have easily gone with Tell You Ride Queen. There was a lot to like about her. I'm going to try the fresh face. I mentioned this to our viewers yesterday and to Rodney that I'm just trying to shake it up a little with the handicapping. I think I have not been very imaginative in the handicapping in recent years. I'm trying to do more of that. Let's accelerate the pace here as we are starting to catch a little water on the set. So I'm going with Star in the Sky, 7, 3, 8 in that race. On to the 7th, 5 furlongs, 4,000 claiming fillies and mares.
Yeah, and the one Mimi Song is got to be the one to beat. Comes off consecutive wins at Delta, then last time out caught a kind of a deluge. Went out fast in allowance company and tired a little bit late. You can make a legitimate excuse for that. That's against allowance foes. 5-time winner at this abbreviated distance. And Broberg scratched one to keep the other one in. That's always a winning angle. The 4-horse Lucky Flash is my second pick. Todd Fincher's going to win a lot of races here. He wins a lot of races no matter where he's stabled. This horse, our mare's won 2 of her last 3. Loves the distance. Buyer figures are very comparable. So, again, top connections, solid figures, likes to win races, so easy to like. And the 8 Nautical Gem has won 2 of 3 races at Lone Star Park, 3 of 7 at this abbreviated distance. Loves to be close to the pace, doesn't have to be on the lead. This is another race, I think, today where 3, 4, 5 horses stand a solid chance to win. These are real competitive races.
Yeah, there really are. It's really an interesting card today, and it'll be continually even more interesting based on what the conditions are. And I need to remember to bring my hockey pucks to weight down our papers like we did in 2017. I'm going with the entry, too. I'm going to be honest. I preferred It's Not My Job over Mimi's Song, but It's Not My Job is out. Mimi's Song's the remaining part of the entry, but she has credentials, especially on a wet track. Nautical Gem, another 2 for 4 on and off track. I went with her as a second choice, and Arabuni is my third choice here. Just taking a little bit of a flyer on her over Lucky Flash, but like you said, there is a lot of contention potentially in this race, even though Mimi's Song might, grade out as a solid favorite. In Ritzy's honors, just looking quickly at her while we're sitting here, I mean, she does show a pretty nice February muddy sealed track win, and is 2 for 3 on wet tracks.
Yeah, and J.R. Caldwell's coming off a great Houston meet, so we know he wins races here.
For sure. On to the 8th. Scheduled for the turf at 1 mile. Boy, this is such a good race. Don't know if it'll be on the turf now. We'll have to wait and see and who will stay in it. But, boy, when you throw this collection of horses together, that's a wonderful race.
Yeah, I mean, Tut's Revenge, who on turf is the one to beat, has won 7 of his last 9 races, and one of them was a photo finish loss, or it could have been 8 out of 9. Plenty of class. Has raced on a wet track once and actually won the race. So if you like Tut's Revenge, if it comes off, you still, should like his chances. I'm going to just talk about Sheriff Brown, who is my top pick if it comes off. I actually prefer him most on a wet track. He's 1 for 1 in the mud. That race came a long time ago. It's off the PPs, but back-to-back wins, 1 at Delta, 1 at Houston, in these, good optional claiming races. So I like Sheriff Brown. And then the 6, Sunlit Song, who just loves this racetrack here. 4 for 7 on the turf course. You can see a couple narrow losses to Tut's Revenge. Then he actually beat Tut's Revenge on April 27th at Remington Park. So this is the main competition, I believe, for Tut's Revenge if it stays on turf.
And we are hearing now that's for all races, correct, John? All races off the turf? Okay, well, definitely the first is off the turf, and it's hard to imagine they take one and not the other. It's not like we've got the D.C. International coming up later that they need to stay on the turf. I'm with you totally on Sheriff Brown. I mean, he's obviously going to be the number 1 for me if it comes off the turf. In my original prognostications, the Sunlit Song was going to be my top pick in a whisker over Tut's Revenge. I love the form on both of these. You can't go wrong with either one. The only thing that led me towards Sunlit Song only is just his fondness for this course. Mm-hmm. Tut's Revenge may love the course too. He just hasn't had a chance to be over it yet. 2 terrific horses. Can't go wrong either way. But I originally went 6-2-9. Mujab Jr. is a really good off-track horse, too, so don't sleep on him. But Sheriff Brown's going to be the top pick for me as well, assuming it comes off. Well, it will come off. We have gotten confirmation we're not going to be on the turf. But depending on the level of offness of the main track. And on to the 9th. 6 furlongs, 3-year-old maiden special weights. This is interesting because we've gone with different horses. You're more willing to take firsters than I am. I'm more willing to fall prey to the ones that have shown a little bit of talent once or twice, but still, it takes a little imagination to see someone else win it.
It does.
But, it's a firster and a horse that is still unproven. So another good way to wrap up the card.
It is. I picked Battle of Will. I mean, Speightster's been a really good debut sire, well above average. The workouts, of course, kind of grab your attention. Bullet 13 a minute 2 at Lone Star Park. But the work on March 26th, that on a good track, which I think is important today especially, Source worked 59 and 1 out of 11 workers. The second fastest worker was 1 minute and 4/5. So 8 lengths faster than the second fastest work at Fairgrounds. That kind of tipped my hand there. Calhoun shows 10%. We know that is so misleading because Calhoun's been about a 20-25% debut trainer at Lone Star, and we're at Lone Star, so forget the numbers that don't look as good. He's excellent at getting a horse to win at first asking. Bordeaux Red, the 5, is very logical. Finishes third at Delta. Finishes up well at 5/8 of a mile. The extra furlong, I think, will help this Steve Asmussen trainee. He's got the experience of 2 races, the best number in the race by far. So Bordeaux Red, he's the one to beat. And Say It Ain't Sony is my third pick, the 6th horse. Battle for 6 furlongs at Turfway on the synthetic there before faltering. Notice Asmussen on route to sprint is a 24% winning trainer. What I wanted to do is I wanted to look up his career works. In the PPs, he's only run at Turfway. All of his works are at Turfway. I had to go back to last summer when he was training at Ellis Park, and all the works were drab, every one of them. So that made me believe they took him to Turfway thinking he's going to like the surface there more than he likes conventional dirt. So therefore, to me, he's a distant third selection.
You know, I went with Bordeaux Red, second off the layoff. The horse that he ran into at Santa Anita and ran well back of in his debut back in June, Weston, wound up running third in the Del Mar Futurity. He won the Best Pal, which is a grade 2 out there. So Weston's a serious racehorse, and Bordeaux Red drew in against him in his debut and was beaten a little over 6 lengths. Then went to Delta and put up a pretty good number, like you say, but wasn't bet much in that Delta race.
Yeah.
6-1 for Asmussen coming off a maiden special in Southern California. You'd think he'd get bet more than that, but he had that outing. Battle of Will may just beat me. I mean, you know, you've beat me with a lot of impressive firsters over the years. Not beat. It's not like we're in a life and death competition here, but you've outpicked me on a lot of these maidens. Firsters that are the real thing. But my third pick is interesting, to me at least, is this Tucum number 1. The Dam Last Dance is a rather old mare. She won her debut back in 2004 and won at first asking and was a decent allowance claiming type mare. I don't know if that's going to pass along to Tucum, and the works certainly don't compare to Battle of Will, but I threw him in for third over Say It Ain't Sony.
Yeah, and Pish wins with first-timers here, too, as well. Very high percentage of some meets, so that's not a bad way to go.
We'll see what it's like being on the rail late in the card today with the rain and all, but those are things we'll have to judge as we go. Well, that's our selections for today. We'll have the anthem and the changes coming up shortly. Please be sure to listen to our feed and watch the graphics for late scratches and whatnot and the turf conditions. We're told the track is currently good and off turf. We'll keep you updated on that, though, because that could be a very flexible situation. You'll be back tomorrow?
Yep, yeah.
2:35 start tomorrow and Sunday as well. So good luck. We've got a lot of different top picks today. That makes it interesting because it generally means competitive racing.
Yeah, it's going to be chaotic, I'm afraid. And I did look up our handle numbers. It's just under $2.4 million. So
That's
we
good.
had a very big opening night.
Thanks to all of you for participating in that and for looking in today, and good luck.